Hey guys, we're going to talk about the IRR and TMP. Okay, some do's and don'ts to facilitate your success. Okay, so the individual research report. We've done this, but let's review. Okay, so the purpose of the IRR is is the research of the topic, establishes complexity of the group problem, and is part of the group puzzle. Okay, so you're responsible for researching and becoming an expert on some aspect of you guys group topic. With your expertise helps answer the larger issue of what is the problem that we're trying to solve, okay, and what is the best way to solve it. So let's look at what the expectations are. What is it that the IRR should do? Well, first it should research and should communicate the research of your topic, and your research should be in depth. Okay, it should address multiple perspectives of your topic and use credible and varied sources. Okay, what I mean by that is that there should be some reason that you're including these sources. There should be some expertise behind them, some reason that you're using them, other than they answer some question on your paper. There needs to be some validity and some credence behind it. And you need to have varied. That means like from different perspectives, from different uh, ways of seeing things. Okay. Row two is establishing clear reasoning. So once you have your thesis, you're explaining how your thesis is correct and it makes sense. It has its claims, it has evidence to support those claims, it has connections between the claims, and it basically explains how all these things add up to your thesis. Okay. And it should be easy to follow and clear. And it explains the selection of your sources. So don't just tell me you got it from this person. Why did you even use this person's quote? Are they an expert in the area? Why does their statement, or why does this particular source matter? Why is it something that we should consider as good in terms of you establishing your credibility in your art, in your research? Okay, row three. Again, you establish the credibility of your sources. So instead, if you say such and such says this, you might say professor of psychology states this. So then you have some expertise to that. Okay, supports your reasoning. That means your quote ties in directly to your claim and helps confirm what you're saying about your thesis. It addresses different perspectives. You should address different perspectives. So all your information shouldn't come from one side of the issue. It should come from very different perspectives so that you can have a full understanding and view of what is being discussed. And you should connect the perspectives. There should be some connection amongst the perspectives that you are addressing in your actual paper. Okay, so row five is talking about using the correct citation format. Again, I do not care if you use APA or MLA, as long as you use the format correctly and you're consistent. So that's row five. You need to use formal academic style of writing, which means you're using third person point of view only, third person. No I, no you, none of that. That is too casual and that's colloquial. That's not what we want to do. It needs to be formal. So no text talks. If you're doing an abbreviation, you need to explain what that abbreviation is the first time. So you need to be very clear that you are writing for academic purposes. And it demonstrates good use of conventions. I mean, capitalization, punctuation, um, sentence structure, all that other stuff. So formatting. So the format is what should assist you in communicating your ideas. Okay, so there are the things that we've talked about. Times New Roman. Paper should be left aligned, 1-inch margins all around. You need to indent all paragraphs, which is the tab button. Your header should only include your last name and the page number. You should have spacing consistency between sentences, words, paragraphs. Some of you are messing that up. You have quadruple spaces between paragraphs. Some of you have issues with the alignment. I've seen some center alignment. I've seen some weird alignment with papers. You need to follow the rules of in-text citations. We have these guidelines in the resources. You need to figure out how to properly write titles, quotes, and proper nouns and punctuation. Okay, you need to know how to do that. There's punctuation rules for in-text citations. There is proper noun rules that should be capitalized, titles, and all that other stuff. So you need to make sure you're doing that correctly. Works cited and bibliographies need to have their own page. So if your paper ends on page 3, your works cited should start on page 4 by itself. Nothing else should be on there. Works cited and bibliography, your sources should have a hanging indentation, and we've talked about how to set that up. So your content for your paper. So this is how you communicate your ideas. Can either establish or destroy your credibility. So you need to make sure that you are being succinct and clear in your thesis. Some of you had a convoluted thesis or a bifurcated thesis where I'm not really sure what you're arguing, or you're arguing too many things. No first person, no text talk or slang, like I said. You want to avoid contractions as much as possible because it seems casual, and that's not what you're doing. You want to use active voice instead of passive voice, and I'll tell you more about that in a later lesson. Don't address quoted sources by their first names only. You need to keep it professional. You don't know these people, so you need to address them professionally. Again, third person pronouns only. Avoid asking your audience questions because maybe they disagree with you, and so you're giving them the opportunity to do that. In an argument or a research paper, you're supposed to be informing and telling the audience why you're right. So don't give them the opportunity to disagree with you. Don't introduce new ideas in your conclusion. Avoid simple and common misused words, common used words such as really, very, transitions like next, first, third. Don't do that. Lastly, don't do that. Avoid weak adjectives, stuff like bad, the word stuff, and limit your use of adverbs because you need to use vocabulary that is descriptive. Quotes should not be used out of context. A couple of you took quotes out of context and tried to put them in an argument that the actual quote would actually dispute, and that attacks your credibility. All right, so the next time we talk, we'll talk more about the team multimedia presentation, but I want to show you an example of a good paper that does these things. So we have a paper that's on the insignificance of superheroes. The student did the proper thesis. You guys were supposed to use this thesis. And so we have this one. According to a respected BuzzFeed reporter, this establishes credibility. And then he gives the title of the article, and he does the quotes. Okay, the brackets aren't needed, but that's minor. And this is the proper citation of a quote. Then you have how this connects. He explains that, and then he goes to the next one, and then he connects these two things, okay, and how they're all connected. So there's a tie-in between the two claims. If you don't explain how your claims support your thesis or how they work together, then you haven't made a solidified argument. This student does a really good job of creating cohesiveness in his argument, and I'll post it on an example page. Another thing that you want to look for is what you want to make sure you're addressing is that you have a conclusion that ties in everything you said. If you are introducing new ideas, it just sounds like you're throwing stuff at people and it doesn't tie in. And so that's not what you want to do. Your conclusion should tie in everything you already said and conclude. So you will see this student also uses third person. He addresses everything that is in the thesis. He connects it. He explains why the sources he used are relevant and create validity. So these are the kind of things you should be doing. So look at these examples that we have on our resource page on the performance task 2, and also look at this student example. I will be uploading Premier student examples as I continue grading, but this is what you should be doing with your paper as far as your IRR. All right, good luck, guys.